Keeping it kosher. We're going to play this clip.
You ready?
Yeah. Yeah, he's born ready.
I'm on.
Okay.
Let's turn our attention to one of the teams that's had all the headlines, and that is the Dees. So much, so tumultuous as their off-season been, and they've been fascinating, haven't they, since they won that flag. Haven't won a final since, despite finishing top 2 in both the seasons, so it becomes a big year for Simon Goodwin.
Yeah, I mean, such a strong footy club over the last 3 years. You know, they've only been outside the top 4 for a total of 2 weeks in 3 seasons. They've been outside the top 4. So this is a really consistent, reliable, strong football team. I know everyone harps on straight away they go to the finals and the straight sets exits, but even then, there's some factors there. I mean, they had 30 more inside 50s than Collingwood. They had 28 shots at goal against Carlton in the semi-final. Yes, we understand they lacked composure and weren't able to finish their work, but for me, I'm not jumping off Melbourne. I still think that they're in the right age demographic. I think they defensively in contest are so strong. They just have been let down. We know by their ball movement and their entries going inside 50. But I like the adjustments. I like Petty when he comes back to play forward. I like McAdam. Billings adds a bit of class. And I'm certainly sticking with them this year.
Certainly it's our own storyline that we have improved over this last little bit. We have looked at those finals and it's something we want to get right.
He's done everything we could have asked of him as a footy club to get himself into this position, and he's right to go.
This will be like the redeem team. I think Melbourne will have a chip on their shoulder with how they've gone out in the finals. I believe the leaders have still got some really good footy left in them. Just got faith that they can bunker down as a group and go again.
The off-season from hell. The Demons battered from pillar to post, but with Clary back in the ranks, Caleb ready to explode, and Gorney looking fit as a fiddle. It's time for the Dees to let their football do the talking. Welcome to the official, unofficial podcast of the Melbourne Demons, the DeeBrief. I'm your host, Adrian Horton, and the lover of Melbourne bitter, even though we're drinking VB, Cord Pants, and of course, Salo's biggest fan, Tom Marcazzani, joins us. Marca?
How you going, mate?
I'm going well. That was a bit of a pump-up.
It was. I actually did see Joey speak about the Dees. King was off, sorry. David King was off. But, I mean, God, you only got to look at our top-tier talent and where they're at in terms of their age, and we're going to be there again.
Yeah.
I have no doubt.
Same. And it was a off-season of darkness in the thread with Nug and Adzi. And just while
we were all pretty dark. You were probably the only kind of person who was quite positive throughout. But to be honest, and I feel like we found a bit of solace in the dark. There was some times where it was humorous, but it was almost the only kind of like way you could get through what was just like one thing after another that was happening. Like if you pick one of those kind of events that happen, that's a big kind of story in your off season. But the fact that there were 3 major ones, you know, Joel Smith, Clary and Brayshaw, it's like, oh, what's next?
True. What is next? It's just great that we've actually got Clary back. Obviously very sad about Angus not being in the side anymore. Just on that pump-up video, a big shout-out, an avid listener of the podcast who runs the Punt Road Post. He put that together. He does amazing cinematic content like that. So if you want to get around it, head to the Punt Road Post on Instagram and TikTok and go check out his work. It's fabulous stuff, and we thank him for allowing us to play that clip off the top. And we've got to go to Derek, because this is the thing. I did a survey in the off-season marker, and I just put it out to everyone and said, what improvements do you want to see happen with the DeeBrief? And do you know what, Derek? You got quite a few mentions, maybe all of 3 or 4.
That's half our fan base.
Out of 10 responses. But in all honesty, you actually got brought up on a handful of occasions, and I thought, we've got to bring you in for a little chit-chat a little bit more, D-Man.
I'll go with a handful. It's fine by me.
That's fine. So tell us what's going on at Castaway Studios here in Collingwood on Easy Street.
I was going bananas. It's flat out all the time. It's
That's
beautiful.
good. Yeah.
There's always a little space for special customers.
Did you have Sam Neill in the other day?
I didn't.
You didn't?
No.
Oh, he's meant to have
I
Sam
know.
Neill.
I dropped the name too early. I went
okay.
off too early. We were interviewing Sam Neill.
Yeah.
But
What was that for, Derek?
But well, that's the thing. I can't say.
Why
Oh,
can't you?
okay.
Oh.
Okay, that's a future project. Can you say that?
Someone was interviewing Sam Neill. in
Jurassic
here,
Park 6.
and-
Sick.
But for some reason it got washed out.
Okay.
Okay.
He's got dialysis now, doesn't
Maybe it was something to do with that.
he? Okay.
Who knows? Let's
Okay.
not speculate.
Yeah.
We won't speculate. You do have a lot of celebrities in this studio.
Yep.
Like Tom Marcazzani.
Murray Wiggle
no.
was my number one, the only one that impressed my kids.
Whoa. I mean, it's a big guest.
That's huge.
Murray Wiggle. That's the
That
the
is.
biggest.
I'm not going to put you on the spot with all the other celebs that you've had in this very studio that Marca and I are in right now. But Castaway Studios in Collingwood, what do you do best? Just got to give it a pump up because I think I failed in my obligation with the contract last year to even mention you maybe once.
Well,
This is what it's about this year. We're paying a little bit more to you, which is all good and well.
Let's get this out of the way. What do you got for us, Derek?
And I've just got to ensure that I'm doing my side of things and giving the studio a pump up, and it's all in the contract. So yeah, you've been a little bit harsher on us this year, and that's fair enough. Like I've got to pull my weight, like the Dees have got to pull their weight. So tell us.
Everybody's got to pull their weight.
Yeah.
And marketing is the opposite to what I'm good at. What I'm really good at is producing content.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can see it. Video, lighting, making people feel comfortable. That's, how how huge that is. You're in the industry.
Yeah, of course.
Get people in here and, the maitre d'.
Target market, just if you're a business owner, is that
Yeah, everyone's doing a podcast. If you haven't, this is my, I wrote this one, but having a podcast now, when you have a business or an interest,
It's like a business card.
it's like having a website in 1992.
Okay.
It's the kingmaker.
Yeah.
And eventually it won't be the kingmaker and you'll just be a knob if you don't do it,
Yeah, right.
sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that's the way I see it.
Okay.
It's the same kind of ramp up as well.
All you business owners listening,
Because people can...
don't be stuck in 1992.
People can listen to the CEO or the designer or whoever they're going to be dealing with and get a sense of they're cool people, if they are.
Yeah.
It's the main thing.
Well, that was one of the best advertorials I've ever heard. But thank you, Derek. There's more formalities as well before we get stuck into the show. And I know. But it is the first, I would say, official podcast of 2024. Of course, we had Broden Kelly in the studio with myself and Caden the other week. And that was big, but that was just like a little bit of a special app off the side. Came from nowhere. Gus retired that day, so it just happened to align. It's a very sad day. Wearing his badge. Love you, boy. Oh, did I kiss it? That's weird. But before we talk about Tommy Sparrow and get stuck into the Sydney game and season predictions and maybe throw a little bit of shade at Nug, we've lost Liquorland, Marca. But it's not a big loss because at the end of the day, we were buying our beers from Dan Murphy's just down the road anyway. So that
Shout out to Dan's.
So that's a little bit of a pump up for Dan Murphy's, and we're maybe a little bit dirty on Liquorland, but no, they were very nice to us, and without their support in the last couple of years, we wouldn't be able to sit in this very studio and pay the very high rates that Derek charges us. No, I'm just joking, Derek. But we are absolutely thrilled to have Melbourne Apartment Collection on board for this season. The managing director of Melbourne Apartment Collection, Anthony, is a huge Dees Nuffy marker. So he's like all of us. The beautiful thing as well is he's backing us for season 2024. So if you're a regional Victorian matchday goer or flying in from interstate for the games, then these apartments are absolutely perfect. They're spot on. So they've got locations in St Kilda, Middle Park and South Yarra. You'll get comfort and security at a very affordable price. From booking to checkout, they keep it simple so you can relax and enjoy the best of the city and live like a local. To make a booking, you can head to the DeeBrief Instagram page. Just click the link in the bio and you'll see Melbourne Apartment Collection right at the top as the first link. So go over there, check it out. If you're coming down from Echuca, if you're coming down from Queensland, wherever you're coming down from, book one of these apartments, put in the discount code DeeBrief and you'll get 10% off. So a big thanks to Anthony and everyone at Melbourne Apartment Collection for backing the DeeBrief this season. Marca, Tommy Sparrow.
Yeah, a couple of years signed on for. It's great.
It's big.
Sounds like a genuine leader down at the club. It kind of sounds like he's kind of cemented himself as a leader since starting at the club. I remember there were murmurs that, this bloke is kind of a bit wise beyond his years in terms of his presence. And that's great because, he's an interstater. We have a history of losing interstate players. So, it's a great win. I feel like in the last couple of years, besides Jackson, we've just got everyone to put pen to paper, which, you look at all the question marks around culture and club and environment. Well, if people are signing on, that's all the evidence I need to reassure me that this club is heading in the right direction. Definitely.
He's future leader material. It's interesting that it's an extra 2 years, gets him to the end of 2026. I reckon the carrot that Melbourne would dangle in front of him, hopefully by the time he gets into that last year of his contract, is we see you as a vice skip or a potential captain of this football club. That whole equation is going to be really interesting because obviously we've got a lot of leaders that will put their hand up when Max Gawn passes on the baton. And
there's one that's leading the race, right?
Petrarca?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he's next skip.
What about Jake Lever?
Look, if Petrarca wants captaincy, he's going to get captaincy.
Do you reckon he's miles ahead?
Yeah.
Okay.
But then again, here I am sitting in a chair. I'm not at the club all the time, but just the way that he carries himself, the way that he plays on the field, his demeanour, his positivity, he screams skip.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I would have Petrarca in the hot seat for it. You'd have to think Jake Lever's probably second in line. But
sure.
Tommy Sparrow might not be that far off in a couple of years.
Mm.
So it's a big few years for Tom as well because he's coming into season number 6 of AFL footy. Everyone's been waiting for him to explode. It feels like it's about to happen. It feels like it's imminent this season. And 75 games in, I think I heard on the commentary the other night in the Pracky. I would be gobsmacked if he doesn't take a big step forward. If he stays fit, I think people not only internally at Melbourne are talking about Tom Sparrow. I think most people in the AFL are talking about the emergence of him. Opposition supporters are talking about him. I'd almost go as far to say he's still a bit of an unknown quantity to most Oppo fans.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he is...
Because we have so many
correct.
that are known and, you're not going to reel off 10 players when you think of a club, like if you're an opposition fan, and he's not a part of that equation because we obviously have, there's a big 5 there. One of them is just gone.
It hurts.
But, you may go on Petrarca, Oliver.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's an embarrassment of riches.
Lever.
Yeah. Freda.
Viney,
Fridge.
So...
May.
But the thing is, if we're going to push again, if we're going to win a final, we need him to step up.
Yeah.
We can't have him doing what he did last year. And that's no knock on him as a footballer. But if you want to win flags, he's exactly the type of player that we need to do what Rivers did last year in terms of how much improvement, how much output more is he going to give us. Otherwise, we'll finish top 5 or whatever it's going to be, and we'll go out in straight sets if we're just going to be the same and offer the same shit. So we have to get improvement out of players like Tom Sparrow. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, and it's probably, when you look at it, Collingwood and what they did with some of their lesser lights who stepped up massively last season as well. Those second, third tier players had amazing years, contributed nearly every single week, particularly in the final series as well. It is a massive year. Season predictions was pretty funny because Nuggets absolutely copped it. I think a few people missed the point. It's a piss take. He's got them in at 15th. He's been very, very dark.
He has been.
And he's stuck to it.
We have...
I don't mind it.
Yeah, well, he's stuck to it. We've been quite dark but Nug has just... And look... in his defence,
Yeah.
what he's dark about is us going out in straight sets 2 years in a row, which has never been done before. And unfortunate for him, we don't play finals for a long time. So there's a chance that he will remain optimistic. Sorry, not optimistic, but like pessimistic.
The complete opposite.
Yeah, going forward until we win that final. And part of me agrees with him.
I agree with him.
Yeah.
It's okay. And if you
But
feel...
the other thing about, for me, I can't be doing myself.
Like in that way.
I just like, it's a new year.
Yeah.
You know, what's the point? You know, start again.
Low expectations.
Everyone's back at square one.
Yeah.
All that bullcrap kind of like run-of-the-mill chat that people have, it's a thing. It's a new year.
I did like yours, Marca. You've gone with 5th, Flag, yes, BNF gone, and then your breakout players, quirky, you've gone with Salem as a mid.
Well, that was before he played in the Pracky.
Which was awesome too.
I've been saying, I mean,
He's your boy.
He's my boy. You know that, but I've been wanting him to play up the ground for 3 years. I was claiming wing for a long time.
Yeah, you were.
Like I wanted him to play there because I look at the Collingwood wingmen and I'm so envious because it's like they just give so much creativity and so much skill and toughness in Dacos and Sidebottom. And people who like in the past have claimed, oh, you know, Salem's not that quick. I don't buy into that.
Yeah.
Sidebottom's not that quick.
No, he's not.
He booted a goal from 55 in the granny. Like,
Apparently he's never kicked more than 45 and that kick went 60 metres.
ugh.
It's fucked.
But Salem's the kind of player who can offer all of that and more at this age compared to... Sidebottom's a freak. All right, I'm not taking anything away from him, but he's also 31, 32, around that
probably.
mark.
Yeah.
Like, Salem is... He's in that window of, like, you should be peaking right now. And he had an off year with injury last year and year before, and it looks like he's got his body right, and we're all going to benefit from that.
He's 28.
Yeah.
So
this is like, you know,
peak.
26 to 28. You know, this is it. And he's always been tough and tackles hard. And I'm so happy that he's in the midfield because I have so much confidence in the players that will be replacing his old position. You know, we have a Bowie, we have a Rivers, we have McVee. Okay, we have a Howes that's stepping up now.
Whoa, Blake!
Who, you know, I haven't seen enough of to kind of like...
Should we explain what you've been putting in the group? With young
Um,
Blake? I mean, there's a lot of things that we can't talk about that are in that thread.
Yeah.
There's
I'm sure there's a lot of things in lots of threads that people can't really
Talk about.
to the public, but
Blake's copped it a bit.
yeah, but that
It's a piss take.
that was a
It's
piss take. We
It's all
we
a
know
piss take.
nothing about Blake as a footballer,
Yeah.
and we would kind of just joke, being like, oh, kind of who is he in a way, but
Well, think about who the profile pick
look,
is.
the
at
other
moment.
thing was last year, from memory, we were kind of like.
Like, oh, mate.
Well, last year from memory, we were like McVee,
Yeah, Chris.
and then look what he did. You know what I mean?
he's a man
and
now.
going back to Sparrow and what he, you know, what we need him to do. We need players like a Howes to step up, right?
Big time.
We need a Laurie.
We do.
We need a Laurie to
Lil
step
Bell.
up. Yeah.
Lil Bell.
So yeah, it's big eyes on players like that for this year.
Well, maybe we should talk about the debutants. So we'll go through them. There's 3 confirmed, and then maybe another one as a sub. Maybe Kynan Brown will be a sub. So we'll just leave it
Really?
there. Yeah, potentially. That's what I'm hearing. But I don't know if you go that way. I think you got to have a tall.
Yeah, I
For
would
Max.
have thought so.
Yeah.
I would have thought so. And you know, yeah.
Yeah.
That just makes sense to me.
Is Diesel going to play?
But especially at a ground like SCG where it's that kick down the line is so important. It's quite congested. You know, as a big man, you can influence a game quite easily.
Massively. So that would be interesting. Might not happen. Maybe the mail's shit mail. Often get shit mail. Jack Billings, first game in the red and blue.
Yep.
Obviously very experienced at AFL level. Fell out of favour with Ross Lyon. You got to like his kicking.
Well, composure, skill, something that we have lacked in a big way. And look, I would love to throw to Derek here.
D-man.
Derek, you're a St Kilda fan. If anyone can tell us something about Billings, you're the man. You've probably seen more of him than us.
Billings. He's a gun, right?
I think you've made a terrible mistake. No, I'm just kidding. Good luck.
Is that
Good luck
it?
to him. Good luck to you.
Oh, jeez. He's
He'll be
really
right.
just...
That's it. But give us a bit more in terms of what does he offer? What because obviously he was touted as being as a super talent. I think we had him higher than Kelly in that draft.
I don't think Derek's ever noticed him in his whole career. You can
do you
tell.
know who Jack Billings is?
I
Derek?
do know, but I don't do footy talk really well.
Okay.
I do footy listening.
Okay.
He just does podcast well. There's another little plug for Castaway
Well, that's the
Studios.
last time
I
I'll be
think it was
throwing to
great.
Derek. Thanks, mate.
I'll miss him. I will miss him.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say.
What about Jimmy Webster?
Oh, come on.
Well, another player that, he's not debuting, is he? But we could talk about Shane McAdam. And look, those two players give us elements of things that we just have not had, which is skill, finishing, composure.
We'll go back to debutants in a minute. But yeah, I like Jack Billings, poise, blah, blah, blah. We'll talk about Caleb in a little bit more depth. He hasn't even played a game yet, but everyone's excited.
Crazy about Caleb because
because of the thread.
In the thread, I was questioning that selection.
You wanted Curtin.
I wanted Curtin, but the Eagles offered us their future first pick in replace for our pick, whatever it was, 6 or 7, because that meant that they could get Curtin.
Yeah.
And that means that we could have, you'd have to say a top 3 pick.
Sure.
Has to be, right?
Yeah.
There's no way that West Coast are finishing. I mean, they're finishing last, aren't they?
Again, yeah.
So it's a top 2 pick, let's call it that. So when I heard that, I was like, okay, we're getting a wingman who is touted to be pick 20 coming into the draft, but we're throwing our chips in for this player. And Jason Taylor,
speed,
from what I've seen already, knows a lot more than me about drafting footballers, and it has shown in that pracky match alone, right? And
how fast
and speed,
does he look?
Yeah, speed's the key word. Speed kills. Like it's just.
It's actually a bit scary how fast he looks.
Beautiful thing to watch when someone just breaks the lines like that. Because apart from Jaden Hunt, we kind of haven't.
Aaron Davey, 2004, changed the game.
Obviously, Pickett.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So that game we lost round 1, I think it was against Hawthorn by like 8 goals or something stupid, maybe even 10 goals. And the biggest takeaway from that game, even Hawthorn fans were talking about it. They weren't talking about having a win against us. Everyone was going, who is that kid?
Yeah.
Because it was something so unheard of. We hadn't seen like little men run that fast and break lines the way that Aaron Davey was breaking lines. And it was just stupid. And in the same way the other night, like Carlton fans, I think I said it on the pod with Scotty and Caden, Carlton fans around us going, who's that again? And we're like, oh, that's our pick 7 from this last year's draft. And they're like, my God. And like, when you've got all these other people around you, Oppo supporters, like asking you, and I mean, I know it's a pracky, it's like country footy, everyone's just having a yarn, but they were actually a little bit in awe of what he was doing.
Yeah.
Imagine when he gets more of the ball. He only had 11 touches.
Well, but the thing is, the way and the position that he plays, you only need like 5 or 6 touches like that if you break the line and you get to bounce the ball when you have the ball in hand and have the speed like he does. If you have 7 amazing possessions, awesome. You know, if you're running both ways and you're defending, he doesn't need to have more than that to impact the game. But my only concern is, and this is the same with any young player, is obviously longevity in their first season, right? So they obviously prepare him so well these days coming into it, but you know, he has a smaller frame, that sort of thing. But, you know, time will tell. But he hasn't put a foot wrong yet.
He hasn't. He hasn't even played a game. It's mental. He looks a good so. Clayton Oliver.
Heard of him.
Can't play footy.
So that was the little thing that we needed as a win, right? Like,
How
with
relieving
all-
was it to see the news? I was like,
yeah. I mean, I was hearing, I don't know if you were hearing, but I was hearing rumours that he wasn't going to play the whole year. And, you know,
I was
that-
hearing at Melbourne would be lucky to get him back at about round 8.
Mm.
I'm like, oh, really? And I'm like,
Because you don't know.
but who, let's get real. How many times are we wrong? Often. How many times are the media wrong? Often.
Yeah.
It just, it beggars belief. And I say this all the time. We don't really know anything.
No.
The only people that know shit, the coaching staff, the players, the board, the administrators, and that's it.
And they keep information to themselves.
It's
as
the
well.
four
Like-
walls.
Yeah.
But it is.
I just like, if anything, if this is gonna like rejuvenate him coming into a season and get him like in absolute psycho beast focus mode, I mean, weirdly enough, it could be the best thing to happen to him, to us and for him for this year, you know, and going forward. You know,
How excited are you? I'm so excited.
I'm
for him.
just so happy that just because last year, how many games did he play? 10, 11?
So he played the first 10 because he injured his hammy in round 10
And then he
against
had a
Port.
3-week hammy, which went on for about 12.
And then he comes back.
Week before finals?
No, he plays the last 3 or 4, and then we've got finals. He just wasn't the same clarity. And,
No.
And someone brought up some stats on Twitter and said, I think you're wrong. And I'm all for opinions.
He
Who
got
gives a shit?
touches. He got touches, but it wasn't the same impact.
Nah,
Um,
couldn't agree more.
you know, he's always gonna. I mean, you could put him on the park with 20 extra kegs, and he would probably still get 20 touches or 15 to 20 touches because he's just a football. Like, he's a natural footballer. Like, the bounce of the ball in and under. He's a freak like that. But he just looks like he's just got, you know, dare I say it, the eye of the tiger, and he's you know, just the way he kind of moves, and he gives us an element that. I mean, we lauded Petrarca all of last year and how much of a freak he is, and you could argue that he's almost the best player in the comp. But then we have this other guy called Oliver who's like at his best, gives us something else other than what Petrarca does. But the combination of those two, it's the best 1-2 punch midfield in the game. Name a better 1-2 punch.
Can't.
Can't.
It is the best. And I think...
And we're not winning a flag without that 1-2 punch.
I know. And I think 90% of opposition supporters would agree with that. Like the Oliver Petrarca combo, then you roll in Gawn and Viney, and it's stupid. The only thing is a collective, and I don't need to embellish and talk about Clayton Oliver too much. You've said it so perfectly there, Marca. But those 4 players, the thing that annoyed me the most, and I spoke about this at the very end of last season, is they're all superstars in their own right. Viney doesn't get the credit he probably deserves, but they've just been sloppy. They've just been a little bit sloppy with the way that they've executed, and you could see there's a considered effort in that pracky. Gawn's not taking out of the ruck and dumping those kicks inside 50. Viney's improved his disposal out of sight, probably halfway through last year, and then he's continued that on, and you can see it in the preseason as well, so that's great. Track's got to do the same because Track was arguably our sloppiest player in that pracky, and he's hard on himself and he knows that he needs to get better with ball going inside 50, even though he, again, every single season gets the most score involvements in the comp.
Yeah.
But they need to get tidier. And Oliver, he's got everything in his locker. He's a ridiculous footballer, but he needs to do the same thing. He can't do the Hollywood handballs and fucking all that bullshit. Like, he needs to get a little bit cleaner as well.
Yeah, for sure. And look, in an ideal world, that would be awesome. The other thing is, I feel as though we also need to, like, emphasize the positives with those players. Because, look, if this year they come out and they're all kicking at 90% efficiency, then, like, oh my God, like...
Game over.
Yeah. But the thing is, I don't know if it's going to improve an extra 10 or 15 or 20% for those players. But I'm also a little bit fine with that because I don't want to be focusing too much on just those players who are giving us a bit more because they give so much already. I think for me, it's more about your Neil Bullens, your Billings, your Mick Adams, those players who are genuine forward half players. They're the ones that need to be finishing. But I do agree with you that it would be nice to have a bit more output from them in terms of cleanliness or efficiency.
Cleanliness. That's the word.
But
cleanliness. Just be.
But the way that Petrarca plays, it's like how do you like Bont moves a different way.
Yeah.
Pendlebury moves a different way.
Oh yeah.
I'm just not sure if the way that Petrarca moves and plays, it's just so powerful and quick and bursts. It's like, how do you like rein that back a bit in that moment? I'm not sure.
I think he's perfect in every single way except for two things: goal kicking.
Yeah. But for him, it's almost like he's missed before he's kicked it sometimes. You know what I mean? Because he's so hard on himself.
Yeah,
that you
massively.
can tell it's like he's fighting it while he's walking in.
You've never seen a more disciplined bloke. Like, he goes on holidays overseas during his break and he's at training camps and he's constantly doing extras. You cannot...
Same.
Extras for us is just drinking as much piss as we can.
Eating dessert.
Yeah, we're useless compared to this.
I will have extra tonight. I will have a side.
Yeah, exactly. But like his motivation, his discipline, everything he does away from footy is like it's almost unparalleled. Like he's right up there at the top echelon. I think it was David King said on SEN, like he is the most professional guy in the competition. You almost can't beat him. And the only knock I've got on him, seeing him run through packs, burst through packs, and take
beautiful to watch.
It's it's one of my favourite things to do on the weekend is just watch him in traffic with pigskin in hand. It just and he said this on the Dylan Friends podcast. It's his cleanliness. It's kicking at goal, so it's goal kicking number one. And it's just going inside and hitting up targets. And you could tell when he was saying it on that pod, he was just so ruthless on himself and he knows that it's one thing he has to do. And I saw him miss a kick, which was on our half-forward side where I was standing at the country match last week. And he missed the target and he scruffed it a bit. And before that, a lot of players had hit up targets and were looking really clean going inside 50. And Max was near him. And Max didn't really need to give him a baking. Max just kind of looked at him and was like, and he just ran off the field to go and have a breather. And he's shaking his head and he was like, fuck, you could just tell how annoyed he was. So he knows. So they're the only two little things he needs to get right in his game. And do you know what's really scary? If he ends up straightening up in front of goal.
Oh, it's Brownlow or not.
Exactly. And what was it, 1931 last season, I think, or maybe that was the season before and I got my numbers wrong. But
if you flip it was
1931 the year before and it was 28-34 last season.
Yeah.
He's having 62 shots and then other shots that haven't registered. If this guy ends up kicking 40-45 and then he ends up being a little bit cleaner going inside 50, and he already is one of the top three players in the comp for score involvements, it's Dustin Martin 2017 levels.
For sure. And look, in the AFL world, we're very quick to find a chink in someone's armour, especially the best players. Like, you think of any best player kind of going around at the moment, people are very quick to kind of be like, oh, yeah, but he doesn't do this or he doesn't do that.
True.
Right? And Petrarca clearly has that and he knows that. But I think it's also, I just want to make a point of this, that like, I don't want to be sitting here every week and being like, oh, Petrarca, missed those goals on the weekend. Because as we said, no one breaks a tackle like him. No one bursts through a pack like him.
No.
Not that I can think of. Probably Dangerfield is probably the only kind of like one, but he's getting a bit older now. What he can do, he does better than anyone else. What he does do well, he does better than anyone else. And look, if it's a matter of kicking an extra even 10 goals to what it was,
Yeah.
that's huge.
It's remarkable what he does.
An extra 10 to 15 goals would be huge.
And we're so hyper critical and cynical. And,
Who are we to do?
but we're guilty of it. And yeah, you try and stay upbeat and positive, but unfortunately, like, it's an era of negativity. Like, people are first to pick out faults in people and weaknesses in people. He does so much right. And he is the type of guy, and this is why I wanted to give him a pump up today and I've circled him in my run sheet. Because I feel like it's almost got to the point where, like, some people are taking him for granted. He's one of the best, greatest Melbourne Football Club players of all time, and he's got the capacity to do something that not many players have been able to do on their own, and that's single-handedly win your side a flag. Nick Dacos has it. He could do it, and he obviously didn't play to the best of his ability because of that knee injury. He's actually got it. He's the type of guy that could go, all right, I'm going to go and win my side a flag. Pendlebury's done it before in 10, and last season he was pivotal. But you look at guys like Dusty Martin when they won their flag. You look at guys like Michael Voss when he won his flag, all his flags, that three-peat. I think of guys like Sam Mitchell and Luke Hodge when Hawthorn won flags.
Well, it was Hodgie in the finals more so than Mitchell.
Exactly. So I look at Christian Petrarca in the same vein. He, for me, has the capacity to go, fuck it, I'm taking this final series by the scruff of the neck. It's funny we're talking about finals and winning finals. But that's what he's got for me if he can just tweak those tiny little bits in his game, because he'll always get looks.
Yeah, and for me, the other one, and this was like a stark realisation as well, and, you know, we get the one-man band back, and that's gone. Like, we have something that no one else has in the competition. Like, even though it was a pracky, yes, and it was against Pidnet and whatever, but, like, he's still by far the best big man in the game.
How fit did he look?
Oh, and you can see, like, he's just got that look about him as well. Like, you talk about professionalism, dedication. Like, you know, if we're saying Petrarca is up there, then, like, he has to be right there with him. And not only that, he has the burden of captaincy. And what pissed me off the other day was, I think it was King. I'm not going to name who it was.
No, King's getting smashed today. David.
Yeah, I don't know who it was.
David.
But they were like,
David?
You know, the legacy of Gone is in question because of what's happening at the club. It's like, are you serious?
Probably McClure.
Nah, it wasn't McClure. If you said it, I would know it.
Well, it wouldn't have been Mick Warner because all he writes is bullshit, slandering the club. Do you know what, though? Do you know what on Gone? This is the other
Could
point.
have been, I think it was, it reminded me of
That's
something.
okay, we'll get there. Maybe we'll just blame it on David.
It was David.
I hope that becomes a common theme this year. Max Gawn, imagine being him, putting yourself in his shoes, 2 straight sets after winning a flag in 21. All the off-season troubles, him coming out in the media, defending Clayton Oliver, but also saying Clary's got a lot of stuff he needs to work on. It's a day-by-day proposition, saying that Clary still lets him down, blah, blah, blah. Best honesty I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Such a good leader. But imagine being Max and everyone telling you your club's stuffed, you're this, you're that, your culture's cooked, blah, blah, blah. Like, imagine being Max Gawn this season. Like, going into this season, going into a battle with Grundy on Thursday night, knowing that everyone's been having a go at your football club and knowing how much he loves his own football club. Fuck, man. He's going to be so fired up. Just to prove a point and to prove everyone
the
wrong.
tagline that stuck with me in your intro was let's have the footy do the talking. And
Yeah.
I have no doubt that this group is going to let the footy do the talking for them. Effort, ability, not in question for me coming into this season. You know, you look at the people that we've lost. For me, Brayshaw is like really the only one that I'm like, yeah, you can't replace a Brayshaw.
No.
What he offers,
It's impossible.
We don't have.
Flexibility,
Yeah.
leadership.
We don't have it.
No.
We can't replace a Brayshaw. A Joel Smith, you could argue that he got his opportunity through injury at the end of last season. Okay, and then we
Yes and no.
yeah. Well, you know, if Petty's fit,
If Petty
he
and
play?
Melksham are fit, does he play?
I don't know. He'll be a sub.
Sub. Sub. Fair.
Harms, he wasn't in the best team towards the end.
Not at all. James Jordan?
No, I didn't consider him to be in our best 22.
Neither.
Not even a sub. I don't think he was dynamic enough to be a sub. Joel Smith, a great sub.
The best sub, but not as good as Diesel. The super sub.
But what's the other player? And then Hibbo. We love Hibbo. But
I miss Hibbo.
But, he was, how old was he? 33?
Yep.
34 or
Getting on,
something.
he's our age.
So,
imagine playing footy at our age.
Yes, you do look at, okay, we kind of like have lost some players, but you look at the people we got, and we named them all earlier. Billings, McAdam, Caleb. People like Howes.
Yep.
Shaki, what are you going to do?
Diesel.
Dees, what are you going to do?
We love Dees.
Dees?
We've been bigging Shaki up massively on the thread.
Yeah.
Adzy's getting very excited about Dees.
I think it's Nuggets' favourite player.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, considering Joel's essentially left, so he needs a new one.
So I expect Shaki to play first month because it looks like Harrison Petty's still out for 3 to 4 weeks, according to... Oh, no, not 3 to 4 weeks, 2 weeks, according to an injury report that came out from Melbourne. Charlie Spargo's available. Ben Brown's actually available, which is crazy to think.
What's this? For me, I don't even consider Ben Brown and Tom McDonald in the team. And I'm sorry if that's like a
two unbelievable servants for two different reasons.
But for me also,
yeah,
I just like
agree.
I can't see like in terms of I just don't trust their bodies and their longevity to like be a part of this like campaign, if you whatever you want to call it, season.
They're invisible for you until they actually appear.
Unless one of them. I can't see both of them, playing in the same team. But unless I see one of them kind of string together, like 4 games here of like genuine, consistent performance, they're not in my equation because they haven't been in the equation for the last 3 years. What, 3 seasons?
They've played
2 seasons.
But they've played though.
Yeah, but have they played to a positive effect?
2022, Ben Brown early on, very good, and then body breaks down.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. I don't trust the body.
No, I know. It's the same.
I trust him as a player.
No, I know.
I love him as a player.
It's the same as T-Mac.
But it's the body.
I'll just put it to you.
I love both of them as players. I'm not saying that. I'm not discrediting them as footballers.
And they've been amazing servants.
Yeah, but I'm just saying like I just think like the bodies are just like clearly something's up there. Like the bodies are, dare I say it, fucked.
Yeah. I get that.
And look,
I think a lot of people are looking at it that way. I'll just put the question to you.
But I would love to be wrong.
I'll put the question to you just really quickly, and then we'll do another read for our sponsors on the podcast, of course, and then we'll go to the fan questions or answers rather. Ben Brown, how many games does he play this year? How many?
8.
8's a lot. That's okay. And Tom McDonald, how many games does he play?
6.
Okay, so they will feature at some point, just because you think we'll need them through what, injury? Can't trust Glass Boy.
Well, injury's the main one there.
Glass Boy is Harrison Petty.
8's a lot, isn't it, for Brown?
Just for reference, Glass Boy.
Glass Boy, yeah. Well, that's Petty. Made of glass.
Yeah.
Because he always gets injured.
Correct. So,
am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. He is Glass Boy until he comes back and.
Oh, is it really convenient times as well? What's up with that?
Shane McAdam was a TBC on the injury report. However, I had a track watcher, a good friend of mine, down at training the other day, and he suggests to me that McAdam's actually about 2 weeks off and could play round 2, which is essentially round 3
our third game
against Hawthorn. So he shouldn't be too far off. And he's exciting. We've just got to keep him fit.
Yeah, I mean, there's no point rushing him.
That's all we've got to do.
And Pickett's back round 1,
yes.
which is our second.
Oh, God, I can't believe he's out. It's so annoying. He looks so good. Anyway, Marco, are you into your F1?
Not really.
Neither.
I can, kind of appreciate it, and if it's on, and I have a couple of mates who are into it.
Yeah.
No, one mate who's into it.
Well, if you are, the Melbourne Grand Prix, it's fast approaching. It's March 21 to March 24. One of the city's premier events, and Melbourne Apartment Collection has the ideal spot.
They're in Middle Park, aren't they?
They've got a spot right next to the track,
Ugh.
and it's so close you could almost smell the rubber. With a party atmosphere right on your doorstep, you can enjoy the beautiful Albert Park Lake, which is actually very, very nice down there. It's very bougie. The beaches are close by. We call them beaches, do we? Can we get away with that?
It's a bay.
And they've got some amazing restaurants around there as well on Armstrong Street. So if you're that way inclined, you haven't booked anything for the Grand Prix yet, and you're coming down to Melbourne, then make sure you hit up Melbourne Apartment Collection. From booking to checkout, they keep it simple. It's very relaxed. There's limited rooms still available in Middle Park. So to make a booking, head to our Instagram bio, click the first link. You can't miss it. Enter the discount code DeeBrief, and you'll get 10% off your booking. Marca, fans' answers? I just put it out to them last night. What was the question? Well, the question was just sending your answers in. But
what was the question? Just to send in any answer.
I just said, get your questions in.
Oh, they want to. So you're getting them to ask questions.
Yeah, I think I've confused myself 10 times.
You've confused me. My God.
Well, here we go. We'll start with this one. So this is the first time I've seen it. So it's funny that I've forgotten what I posted last night, but that's being a dad and having a crazy toddler. The first one, Owen. Well, Owen. We're just going to go with Owen. That's his first name on Instagram. There's a lot of weird handles floating around. He said, how many games does Howes end up with? Your boy, Blake. What do you reckon?
God, it's such a... I mean, he hasn't had one, so,
He's getting his first.
I'm just trying to think of who's to come back into that back line.
Yep.
Is there anyone? I'm trying to think who's like an obvious choice.
No, I don't think so. Well, Daniel Turner, they think could have got games in front of Tomo, but Daniel Turner's injured for the next 8 weeks. So
right, so he has an opportunity to put in a quite a big block here.
Imagine if he has a stormer.
All right,
new favourite player.
I'll say 12.
12. That's huge. That's big. Does he play finals? Because we're going to play finals, aren't we?
I think he's going to get dropped for the granny.
Here we go. We'll go to Riley Frog on Instagram. Froggo, how many wins should we have by round 6? Riley says minimum 4. Could we manage all 6?
We've got Brisbane in that mix at the G.
We've got Brisbane in the mix.
I think we've got 2 Adelaide Ovals.
We've got 2 Adelaide Ovals, which is crazy and so stupid from the AFL.
I mean, you look at every game, apart from obviously there's probably 4. Like, it's such a tough comp.
It's not 1 week at a time, Riley. We're going 6 weeks ahead. So, Sydney, do we win?
Yep.
Yeah, I think we win as well. Bulldogs, do we win?
Yep.
I reckon that'll be tough, though.
But yeah, but it's a good time to get him before...
Rhythm.
Before, like, people like Darcy gets into his groove. Apparently, he's been lauded down back and, they're still just a little bit raw, the Dogs.
We're getting we're getting a game in before they play.
Yeah.
Which I love. Hawthorn?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're 3-0.
Yeah.
Port, away?
We beat Port. I reckon we lose to Adelaide.
I feel that. I agree. I think we're 4-1 and then Brisbane at the G. I reckon it could go either way. They torched us for 2.5 quarters. Torched us. They made us look stupid.
But we won. Even like that lights out game, they torched us and then the lights went out. I'll say a loss. 4-2.
So suddenly we're 4-2 heading into a bye after being, what were we? Well, 4-0.
It's such a tight comp, man.
And then we got Richmond.
Oh, it's a win.
And then you got Richmond. So you go, we're going to go the whole thing. So then you go Richmond, we're 5-2, and then we've got Geelong.
At the G, yeah?
At the G, it's a win. 6-2, and then Carlton.
Win. After last year, after what happened, there's no way we're losing to them after what happened. Like, it's redemption tour.
No, we're not doing this. But We're doing, and then we've got West
So
Coast.
what's that? 7-2. I'll take that.
And then we've got West Coast. Yeah,
Oh, it's a win.
Win 8-2. Then we've got St Kilda.
That's a big win.
9-2. Then we've got Freo.
No, that's a win. Nah, fuck this. I don't want to do this.
Nah, I'm joking. Riley, do you know what?
I think four is a pass.
4-2. Just call it 4-2. Doesn't matter which games they are. I think 4-2 is the pass. 4-2 is the pass. 3-3, you're a little bit disappointed. 5-1, it's flag. 6-0, it's flag. Anything below 3. 2-4 is we're staffed
Yeah.
and we're not doing shit. So yeah, 3-3, you're disappointed though, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 4-2, it's like, yeah, that's good enough. We've got some more here. Oh, someone just goes, what is our best 23? Well, we're not going to do that because we don't know much.
Well, in terms of who's playing this week, so who's playing on...
We're not going to go through our 23.
No, we're not going through the whole 22, but we know who the best, say, 15, 16 are, right?
Easily.
Thereabouts. So let's go through the
Oh,
people
we're actually going to do...
No, let's go through the players who won't be playing, who would be replacing, who we think who are playing on Thursday. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, Petty,
Shaki.
all right? Mick
Yep.
Adam.
Chandler. Or Laurie.
That's where, Laurie. It's got to be Laurie.
Chandler needs to get more of the ball.
But he did he does some stuff where it's like,
he's a
one-on-one, like...
huge talent. I'm just telling you, if Bill Laurie ends up
But
getting...
does Laurie get enough of the ball?
I think Laurie will end up finding the pill more and being just as damaging. And I
Okay.
think it's almost a perception thing because Chandler's got a really cool style, the way he moves.
No,
It's dynamic.
I know what you mean. Dynamic is the key word there. He's definitely more dynamic.
So it's
than
either one of
Laurie.
those.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. It's either one of those.
Okay, and then Pickett.
Oh, God.
I know.
Who comes out? Well, Chandler or Laurie are both out.
Yeah.
So they're both out.
Yeah, they're
So
both
that's
out.
three. So that's 3 out of the current 23.
And they're all forwards that come into this side.
True. And then, I mean, beyond that, who else can really come in is the question. Like Turner could come in for Tomo.
There's big raps on Turner. I like Turner.
Huge raps on Disco. Disco, I think, was destined to play round 0 if he didn't hurt himself.
Okay.
But fair Fs to Tomo. He's actually been incredible in pre-season, like he is every pre-season. And he deserves his spot at the moment. Lockie Hunter.
No. It's a big no from me.
You're just not a big rap for him.
No.
No.
He's
He's
I'm happy to be wrong.
Nibbler used to be your whipping boy, and now it's Hunter.
Yeah. Well, Nibbler's still my whipping boy. It's just that I whip Hunter more.
No, you can't whip Nibbler. Nibbler's becoming one of
yeah.
my favourites, if not my favourites.
Yeah. But, but he still just does something and you're like,
Yeah, true.
how?
This isn't a question. This is from Alex Zorkis. Not a question, he says. Caleb will be Flash 2.0. And we spoke about that earlier.
Interesting.
So some nice little synergy going on
So
there.
before he brought that up, you actually thought of that.
Yeah, it just popped into my brain. Billy Anderson on Instagram says, how many games do we think Dees, Big Shaq, will play? I think he'll be crucial cover for Max up forward
Yeah, it's a
and
good
resting ruck.
point.
Resting ruck, he was pretty bad against Carlton.
See, for me, Roo is a better option in the ruck just because physicality. Like Shaki, yes, we know that he's got the height and the build, but he just kind of lopes. He kind of just like meanders,
I think Shaki gets a really good run at it this year. And I say really good run.
Do you know
this
what's
is going to sound stupid, but
the best thing about Shaki is that he gets it from the start. So there's such a psyche
True.
around starting the year in the senior team, right? So if you start in the twos, it just sends a message. It sends a message that we don't trust you at the moment to start with us. Regardless, there could be injury to do with that. But with Shaki, he kind of seems like he could just feed off of that in terms of confidence. And
If he has a huge game on Thursday. Like, imagine the threat.
the Dees. If the Dees has a big game on the weekend,
Go Dees!
I will eat my hat.
And is it annoying that it's been so obvious that his nickname's Diesel and we haven't called him Dees yet?
So,
It's annoying me.
who's their backline? McCartan, good player.
Good player.
Rampy, good player.
Good player.
But he's got a bit of size about him.
Blakey, good player.
Yeah, but Blakey's not playing on either of those, on Roo or...
No, he'll want to get free and do his thing.
So who plays on Roo? Because McCartan will have to play on
Melican?
Diesel.
Melican? Melican.
Yeah,
M.
who?
M. Not
Melican.
Not P. Lewis Melican.
I've never heard of that player. Have you heard of that player?
Yeah, he's not bad. I've watched him a couple of times.
Be serious. Have you heard of that
Yes,
player?
I have. I've seen him play.
Oh, Roo's going to kick 3.
Maybe 5. How many is Dees going to kick?
That's a mulligan.
We'll go to a few more. I love all these questions because it's the first time I've seen them. Oscar and Gerald, this is a double up. Shout out to you. You probably know who you are. Oscar Williams and Gerald Yam. There we go. What should our forward 6 be for the year? What's our preferred 6 if everyone's fit? Go. You go.
Well, God, I can't believe I'm saying this, but Nibbler starting centre half forward. You got a Roo or Petty. Take your pick. We'll go Roo.
But it's Roo and Petty, Nibbler, and then 3 more.
Yeah, I know.
Fritsch.
I know how many are in the forward 6. I used to play in the forward one. Adrian.
You used to clunk them, I heard.
Petrarca. I want him starting the forward.
You can't do that as your 6.
Oh, yeah.
But that means there's going to be really good players left out.
Oh, they can just be on the bench.
Okay. Fair enough.
Because in the midfield, I feel like
your
we've got
6,
it.
sorry.
We've got it
Sorry.
covered at the moment. We've got it covered in the mid.
It's your 6.
Pickett,
Kaze.
McAdam,
Kazaya. Oh.
and then the other big boy.
It's actually a fucking good team.
Yeah, Petty, Roo, Kazaya,
Fritter.
Petrarca.
Fritter.
I forgot Fritter. Fuck, we actually don't have a bad forward line.
I feel so flaggy right now.
Sorry, let's put Petrarca in the guts. I apologise. And let's put Fritter in the forward line. Fritter deep, and then we'll push up. We can push up a Pickett. I think he can run into the set of bounce when it goes and kind of be that extra.
Is Chandler in your side most of the year?
I still don't completely trust Chandler.
Yep.
But I love what he brings, and in that Pracky match, as you said, that word dynamic, like he gives an element unlike any of those other kind of smaller hybrid forwards, whatever they are, because he's really good in the contest in using his body. He's tough, he's physical, but I haven't seen enough of it to completely say, yep, he's in our best. And I feel like him and Laurie will just be kind of like fighting for that position all year. But in terms of versatility, you'd have to say Laurie provides a little bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just me.
That's a really good 6/7. That's a crazy 6.
It's a dynamic 6, isn't it?
Lettuce 12134356 on Instagram. What does that add up to?
Iceberg.
Do you think Melbourne is spewing? Is that what it is? Do you think Melbourne is spewing since we lost James Jordan after Brayshaw retired?
No.
That's it. We'll just move on from that. Thanks, Lettuce.
No.
No,
And look,
we don't want to. No, we don't. We don't.
And look, going back, and as we said before, what did we say before? You can't replace Brayshaw.
Yeah.
And God knows Jordan wasn't going to replace Brayshaw.
Yeah.
And look, this goes back to our theory last year when we played Bulldogs in round 1. What did we say why we were going to win? Do you remember what it was?
Oh, God. It's stretching me. I don't know. Can't remember.
There was a player playing for them who used to play for us.
Oh, yeah. Oscar.
So the reason why we're going to beat Sydney is because we dumped a player and now they've picked him up and he's in their best 22. That theory is usually pretty good, in my
He
opinion.
kicked a goal against us, remember?
Yeah, it was a good goal.
He got very excited.
He got very excited.
Was it weird?
He had his little
We were
moment.
booing him and people got upset. I was like, oh my God, it's just banter. Who gives a fudge? It was pretty funny we were booing him.
Yeah, I'll be booing Jordan. from the seat of my television, that is. He never gave me much, Jordan.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. A couple last ones and then just a little bit more in Sydney and then we'll wrap up.
Who?
The Swans, I hate him. Cam Noble says, how many touches is Windsor going to get in round one? I like that. Let's think about that. I reckon he's going to get 16. He's going to kick 1 goal. He's going to have 2 goal assists, and people will be talking about him a lot the next day. And it'll be a really impressive debut, maybe a 7.5, 8 out of 10. And people will be mystified by just how quick this young man is. And yeah, I've got super high hopes for him. And I think, given the fact it's a very small ground, I think we'll be even more excited about what we can get out of him on the big expanses of the G the week after.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he'll get a bit less of it. I'll say 13.
Sure. Goal?
12 or 13.
Is there a goal in there? Maybe not.
Throw in a goal. Throw in a goal for Caleb. Could even be his first kick, actually. We'll give him we'll put him in the club. First
From
kick,
Footy?
first goal.
On the run?
Running in, handball receive. We'll say 35. Just galloping in.
Straight in front.
Ollie Florent was, got lost.
Celebrating a goal that never went through.
Ollie Florent was
I can't-
clutching at his hamstring as he's running for Caleb. No, but I think that their wingmans are actually they can be quite damaging.
Is that the funniest thing you've ever seen in footy when Florent thought he kicked it?
So they've got Florent and McCreary? No, not McCreary. What's the other one that's McInerney, sorry.
McInerney. Yeah.
They're good players on their day, but they also have a history of kind of going missing a bit. But my concern for Caleb is that just obviously be vigilant for those kind of players because
100%.
they can be really damaging for Sydney. And when they're an up and about, you get the whole combination of Warner, Blakey, Ollie Florent, all those kinds of players who just move the ball really well and run really well.
Oh, look, there's no doubt Sydney are chock full of talent. I just think they're a little bit raw, and I think the hype is a little bit too early for them. I think they're going to be a good team in time.
Yeah, I think they're going to build into being a really good team this year.
100%.
But no Parker, no Adams,
No Mills.
no Mills. That's
Huge.
that's
Skip.
massive, man.
Skip's not there.
In terms of who are the bigger bodies in the guts for them?
Well, I think what they might have to do
James
is...
Jordan,
Well,
please.
Well, he'll have to play in there at times. And then they've got this guy I was really impressed with, Sheldrick, who I've seen. No, he looks really... I know, people will go, if you're not a Sydney supporter...
I'm not.
You-
And
I've-
you've given me two. And look, can I just say that I know a game,
You do know game.
and you've thrown two names to me, which have
Why
absolutely
am I trying to
thrown
be
me.
respectful to them?
Who was the other one?
I hate them.
Who was the other one you gave?
Angus Sheldrick. I've seen him
No, there
play.
was a backman that you gave that I was just like, what?
Oh, Lewis Melican.
Melican and Shellick.
Yeah. Well, look, put it this way. There's two
No,
players.
I back you in and I trust you, but
you might
I'm
see them.
surprised that I have no idea who you're talking about.
They can play. There's three factors to this game that annoy me, and this is where Sydney could get us, just from an individual talent perspective. And it's not Melican.
It's Goulden.
It's Goulden, who's an absolute freak.
Yeah, he's a freak.
Freak of nature.
It's Warner.
Yeah, such a good player. And then it's annoyingly for me, it's this three-pronged attack of McLean, McDonald, and
And
Amati.
Whoa. Let's because for me it's more.
And Hayward has good games against us, and he does jobs on Lever, and he takes Lever away from the ball.
Yeah, I like
and
Hayward.
and he deserves praise because he's been really good at quelling the effect of Jake Lever.
But for me, besides those players, the ones that when their tails are up, it's like almost game over.
It's Papley.
It's Papley and Heaney.
Yeah.
If those two kick like, say 5 between them, it's almost like, oh, okay,
Yeah. So
one of those nights.
big job.
But also,
on Paps.
surely Heaney, considering that they don't have Mills and Parker in the guts, they have to use some kind of artillery to nullify Petrarca in the guts and Viney in the guts. Because if they come at us just with Goulden and Warner and these kind of like,
Sheldrick
and your Sheldricks of the world,
and Jordan
then we will simply bully them in the guts.
Yeah.
So a Heaney,
and Papley, almost both of them have to spend.
I would
stints
imagine
through there.
that Papley will have to.
Braden
play
Campbell
more
will go
forward.
in there. He's okay,
Yeah, he's all right.
but like he'll have to go through at times.
Yeah.
Our opportunity to bully them in the middle couldn't be greater.
Mm.
When you don't have Mills, Parker, and Adams.
The rucks will be funny.
I'm hearing a bit about blood.
Really?
Hmm.
Between those two,
It sounds like me trying to build it up and be a fuckhead and a shock jock, but I'm
No, are you talking about
But I'm not.
Grundy v Club or Gawn v Grundy?
Max.
Max and Gawn.
Yeah, Max and Grundy.
Sorry, Max and Grundy.
Yeah.
In my head, it made sense.
Yeah, but and again, I'm not just doing that.
I know you wouldn't.
I'm just hearing.
Who are you hearing bad blood from?
I'm just hearing. I think there's going to be a bit of fireworks.
I mean, I don't obviously because they're competitors, right?
Oh yeah.
And like that's going to happen regardless. But I'm surprised to hear that there's like something a little bit beyond that. For me, it would be more, the narrative is more Grundy. I mean, and he had to do this last year, prove a point to a club that kind of said, "Say,
Yeah. The weird thing though, and I've said this
so
consistently.
weird we had him."
The funniest thing
God,
about
that
it,
was such a
you
weird
talk
time.
you talk about the Max Gawn and Brodie Grundy experiment. I don't understand this rhetoric. It was a failure. It didn't work. It was a joke. It was a disgusting fucking abomination. It was all these things, and everyone just up in arms. And like Melbourne didn't fucking treat him with any respect or any dignity. He played 17 games.
Mm.
Like we gave him 17 games, and it didn't work. And if anything, doesn't that prove that two premier ruckmen probably can't work in the same system? I've no doubt there have been other examples of other clubs that I can't think of at the moment where it has worked, whether you've had two unbelievable ruckmen in the same team. But doesn't it prove that the experiment in some weird way was like, we're not going to say it's a success, but we're not also going to say it's a failure. We're just going to say, well, we found out that the solution was never there in the first place because we gave it 17 games. If it was 6 games,
Yeah.
you'd almost go, well, they didn't give it enough time
But
to prosper.
in terms of like,
So at least we found out.
in terms of like having two premier ruckmen, the solution is having at least one of them to be really dynamic up forward. And neither of them are really dynamic up forward, which means that you have to rely on both of them to play too much game time up forward than what they should be playing. And that was the reality of the situation, and that we have to have confidence in one of them. Gawn's better up forward, and you and I both know Gawn's like not a freak up forward, but you love that he can give a chop out every now and then and obviously creates a contest. But Grundy up forward, no thanks.
It was terrible. It was so bad to watch as well. That's why I just think about him and I go, great footballer around the ground.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong.
A gun ruckman.
However, limited.
Yeah.
Like, very limited. One of Max Gawn's...
You'd think we did the research and not gone for him and gone for
Yeah, but one of Max Gawn's greatest traits is his ability to go a kick behind the play and take intercept marks.
Yeah, and what I thought going into it was, I can't believe we're harping on about this bullshit,
Yeah.
but it's the last thing I'll say.
It's fine.
What I thought was going to happen was that Gawn was going to kind of play this kind of more defensive role while Grundy was in the ruck and, but anyway, let's never talk about it again.
No, it's done. Let's just let Max do his thing.
It'd be funny if Grundy absolutely dominated and kicked like 4 or something.
That would be crazy. And that would hurt. Maybe the pod wouldn't go all season. So just really quickly, clearance game important. Keep the ball trapped in our front half, small ground. There's a massive emphasis on forward handball. You can see that from Andrew McQualter already. They've been training the hell out of it. You could see it in the practice match. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out throughout the season for us. But I'm going to go to predictions, Marker, and then we'll wrap up with another read and talk about our sponsor, Melbourne Apartment Collection, who have come on board for season 2024. But how do you think it lands? Who's your bog? What's your margin?
For Sydney?
Yeah.
Well, the last two games, well, Goulden was unbelievable last time, but in my opinion, track, was the main reason for us winning the last two games as well. Like his influence down forward in that early game, that could have been round 2 or something. He played deep forward. And then in that last game at the SCG, he turned it for us as well, in my opinion. And I thought he was robbed of Brownlow votes.
Big time.
So I have to go with track.
Love that.
In terms of best on ground. I will say 17 points victory.
Ooh. It's a little reminder.
Was there another question or just 2?
No, that's it.
Awesome. What do you reckon?
I just wanted to talk about Melican again.
And Seldrick? Wait, who's the other one? Seldrick.
Fuck, if Melican, Sheldrick, and Grundy all have Stormers,
you won't see me here next week.
No, I don't think I'll come back ever. My best on ground is Jack Viney.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jack Viney is career best form. He will continue it on from last season. He'll have a stupid amount of possessions. I'm calling 35 or something ridiculous. He'll have 12 tackles. He will be the difference because he is a psychopath and he's ready to take the competition by storm this season. So I've got high hopes for Jack again. And the margin for me is in a similar vicinity. I think we'll win by, 2.5 goals. 15 points is what I had.
Okay.
I think relatively level at three-quarter time in the same way that it was that game last year at the SCG last round.
Yep.
And then we'll just pull away. Superior fitness. The
But
boys
just,
look fit as a fiddle. And the big knock on Sydney last season, which was interesting, is I think I heard this on first crack, but they were in front something stupid like 17 times at three-quarter time, and they lost 6 games. They won the other 11, but they lost 6 games, which is very, very high because most teams, when they're in that position leading at three-quarter time, close it out. So maybe, again, another little knock on their fitness, but I just back us in. I just think we're more experienced in those situations. Before we go out, once again, we just need to give a massive shout out to Melbourne Apartment Collection, who have come on board for season 2024 as a key partner of the show. They're a business run by a demon who is backing the DeeBrief, so we're very thankful for that. If you're coming from regional Victoria or flying into the games from interstate and need an overnight or weekend stay, then look no further than Melbourne Apartment Collection. You'll get comfort and security in St Kilda, Middle Park and South Yarra, 3 primo spots in the heart of Melbourne. And to make a booking, all you need to do is head to our Instagram bio and click the first link. You cannot miss it. Enter the discount code DeeBrief and you'll get 10% off. And Marca, before we go, just going to leave people on a bit of a somber note, but it's something that's very close to our hearts. One of our dear friends, one of our best friends, Alex Kingham, who's a member of the Sash podcast, his beautiful mother, Amanda, passed away last Friday. And it's been a terribly tricky few days for Alex and admittedly a terribly tricky day for myself and you, Marca, and all the boys who are very close to Alex. He's a very well-loved member of our friendship group. And I've got to say, his mum was just, she was just 10 out of 10. So welcoming when I was a teenager, a troubled teenager. She brought me into her home and taught me a lot about life, to be honest. And she was one of those parents that when you rocked up at the house, it wasn't the dismissive, hey, nice to see you, and you walk to the back of the home or you go to the backyard and go and hang out with your mate. It was you walk into the kitchen, she offers you food, you sit down and you want to be in her presence and you want to have a conversation with her. And she's a remarkable lady, so loving, so caring, so charismatic, and she truly has had a profound impact on my life, particularly given that I was a boarder, so I was away from my mum and dad for most of the year, from the age of 14 and a half all the way through to 18, until I'm in a share house with a few of the boys that you know. And I often would go over to the Kingham's house and spend time with Amanda, and she really was like a mother figure to me and many other boys. So for Alex to lose his mum so suddenly is absolutely devastating. We're all grieving for Alex, and we're all very upset by the situation. But also, I just wanted to remember and give you a bit of a reminder of just how beautiful a lady she was, and just some of the traits that Alex embodies is very much his mother, and her spirit and those characteristics will live long within Alex and through his children later in life, and there's something really special in that.
Mate, very well said. I'm not going to add too much more to that, except that for all the listeners out there, to your mother, to your wife, give them a hug, tell them you love them.
Tell them you love them, because you just never know when the day's going to come. But we love you, Kingo, and we'll be with you every step of the way, mate. All right, I reckon that's a wrap. Friday morning, if I get up in time, we'll see. It could be a big night, Marca, on Thursday. Not sure where I'm watching, but I'll be at a pub. But
Malik.
We'll be there to watch the Malik. And if I do get up in time, I'll try and bang out some player ratings for all the premium subscribers. Won't be able to do the review show until Monday night at this stage. Going away to Tassie for the weekend with my wife.
Whereabouts?
Hobart, which would be good. We're going to Brunny Island and Mona. And Mona. I'd never forget your video.
Have you been before?
I haven't been.
It's good fun.
Yeah.
It's bloody good fun.
No, I'm very
Get a
excited.
scallop pie down there as well.
Scallop pie, okay.
Famous.
It's a nice suggestion. But
And just go to a pub that has a roaring fire, even though I think it's still...
Apparently it's very hot down there on the weekend. So no, I'm really looking forward to it. So you can expect a review show likely on a Monday night, which is a little bit late considering a Thursday, but hey, I'm away for the long weekend.
Life happens.
Life happens, and I just want to enjoy some time with my better half. And to all the DeeBrief listeners, very excited, very pumped up, can't wait for it, and very excited to watch Sheldrick.